Dr. Nicola Ferri is now together with me to chair this session that we open inviting Gemma Perretta from Fondazione Guido Bernardini to open the discussion that would like to provide this different perspective on laboratory animal science, education and training. Gemma Perretta is former president of FELASA and has been a special consultant for the International Council for Laboratory Animal Science. It's important to underline that she has been participating as nominated by the Italian Ministry of Health to the expert working group of the European Commission to produce the guidelines to facilitate the transposition of the Directive 63. And she is a former president and member of the scientific committee of the Fondazione Guido Bernardini.
Thank you very much, Silvia. I don't know if you can hear me correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you can also see me, but that's not really relevant.
We can hear you, but we cannot see you. If you can.
Okay, that's it.
Oh, well, now, yes.
You're not missing anything, but anyway, I'm really pleased to be here with you for this final event, for this very important project, which is, I think, a very, to say, way to the future, which probably was needed at the European level. And possibly we will also have to look out of the boundaries of Europe, because I think there are interests also in many other countries. And so probably this project could be widened to other perspectives and horizons. So I have the pleasure to open the discussion. I have other colleagues participating with me, and so I think that they will be willing to answer to any questions or to any comments that anyone from the audience would like to address. I don't know whether, Barbara, do you want to say something? You are also a panelist, maybe that you can give us your perspective, and also the other colleagues who are participating to this panel session. What I would like to add to this session is that I have been through all the process lately, but it was very interesting, and I think that the project contains really important elements. One of the most important is the self-assessment tool. As Silvia mentioned, I am part of the Fondazione Guido Bernardini, which is mainly involved in education and training since 2009. We have provided, I think, almost 80 courses with participation from all over the world. And I think that the self-assessment tool is a very important one, because for the provider to be able to update constantly the value and the quality of what we provide is really a crucial issue. So I think it's really an important tool, together with all the other quality modules that you have been providing. Another thing which I would like to mention is that it really helps the mobility of people working in Europe. Nowadays, as it has been mentioned, is a difficult issue, a critical issue, but I think that for the future it will be very important to enhance this mobility and to give the opportunity to people to share their knowledge. E-learning is something which everybody nowadays have been approaching. Also us as provider of courses, we had to switch from the face-to-face courses to the e-learning tool. And I must say that it's an excellent way to widen the audience, because you can be easily reached from all over the world. The only problem that we have in a way faced is that in a way it lacks a little bit the interactivity between teachers and students. That is something which is very important. It's very important for the student, but it's also very important for the faculty, because by interacting with students, they learn. We learn every day. We learn something, even though most of the time we are teachers, but I think it's very important that we get new information, new ideas, and new experiences. So don't want to take more time. Barbara, do you want to add something to the panel?
I can say that we have arranged the sequence of the panel discussion, giving first the floor to some of the invited panelists, and leaving the final talk to Barbara. So first, we would like to collect from all you. I will call you one by one. Nicola is going to ask you something. Maybe you have a question for Dr. Gemma Perretta.
No, I just would like to thank you. I just want to thank you for underlining in a wonderful way the main point of the project. Is very useful. And just a shot. Have you any perspective for the future of this project? I mean, what do you think? Is it better for us to go ahead with the project, and have you any suggest to address this kind of choice?
Sure, of course. I think that it really, the project really deserves a future, not only because of the project itself, but because education and training, it's an issue which really deserves future attention. So I think it's important that you continue in this way. And well, you know, you can probably address other subjects for the learning courses. I think that the one that they have been selecting as the first one is one of the most important, but there are many others. I think people are interested in many other issues, many other subjects. So I think that you should probably enlarge the range of subjects that could be part of your e-learning process. And perhaps what you could also do is to interact. You know, you have indicated stakeholders who are interested in your project. So probably you should interact with them and get them perspective, their needs, their requirements. So in a way to really represent something which include all different stakeholders, not only providers, but you know, learners and so on and so on.
Thank you very much. I'd like to pass the floor to Massimiliano Bardotti, that we can consider them a colleague of you in the peer review activity. Massimiliano Bardotti is a scientific consultant and freelance designated veterinarian. He is the Honorary Secretary of the European Society of Laboratory Animal Veterinarians, and he currently serves as an ad hoc consultant for the ALAC International. Massimiliano?
Good morning to everyone. Just to say a couple of words, thanking you for this great opportunity. I really appreciated to work with all the panelists team in evaluating the projects. It was really interesting to challenge myself in this quite new field for me, the evaluation of formation activities and so on. Answering to the questions, according to me, this kind of project must be continuing, must be reinforced in the future, giving the opportunity to the others to submit their project and have an external evaluation and some suggestions from other professions would be, according to me, very, very interesting and very useful. Let's see. That's why my participation, and thanks a lot for the invitation.
Thank you very much, Massimiliano. And I know that you are in a hurry because you have another meeting just planned, so if you should go, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks a lot to you, and have a nice continue for the day. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Now, Nicola, it's time to welcome a good friend of us, we can say, Marcelo Raspa.
Yeah.
Marcello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. We would like to see you if possible.
Okay, I'll try, okay.
I'd like to introduce you. You are Biological Research Manager at the National Research Council of Italy. You are responsible for the welfare and care of the animals and designed vet, and President of ISAL, as well as member of the FELASA Board of Management.
So, Marcelo,
Yeah.
just 1 minute. So you are one of our potential user of our intellectual outputs. Can I have your opinion about them? What do you think as a future user of our intellectual outputs?
So it seems to be an extraordinary journey, of course. You know how much in consideration I take your group, and especially the work has been done by Barbara and by Silvia and other colleagues. So let me thank you for participating to this event, to this final event, and then let me congratulate to the actors of this action. And of course, you have to go ahead, as already has been pointed out by Gemma. This project seems to be very promising and very coherent with the address of the EU community. So the EU considers continuous advancement of education and training to be a profound importance for the future. Of course, in widespread access to quality education and training, the EU is a driver of economic growth, social cohesion, research and innovation, and dramatically increases citizens' respect for personal development. I believe that, but not only me, but the whole community, that education and training system are organized and implemented by the member states. Besides the fact that the responsibility for education and training system lies with individual states. So from this point of view, I believe that this program could be very preeminent for the future, and in the view that to make the lifelong learning and mobility as a reality. This is probably the major obstacle, and the fact that it's possible to work at the same level in different member states. The HERMES project is one of the best example within the union. In one of the example of the cooperation between stakeholders involved in the education training system. So that's because I would like to wish you all the best for the future, and of course I will be one of the users of this system. I'll try to fulfill the task that has been provided by this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcello.
Thank you very much, Marcello. Your perspective as potential user is very appreciated and encouraging for us. You mentioned the role of member states, so you offer me the possibility to give the floor to Dr. Panagioti Andreopoulos from the Hellenic Ministry of Agriculture. We are honored of your participation today in our panel discussion because you provide us with the competent authority perspective. Dr. Andreopoulos has been the head of the Department of Veterinary Perception, Veterinary Drugs and Veterinary Application in the Directorate of Agricultural and veterinary policies in the region of Arctica since 2011, and this department issues the official authorizations for establishment of breeders and also the authorization of the scientific projects. So a crucial
in Arctica.
In Arctica.
Yes.
Can you please open the, oh, perfect, the camera.
So, good morning, Panagiotis.
Good morning. Good morning.
So you, along with the next two speakers, are one representative of the centers that in your countries are going to apply the results of this project. In your opinion, what are the most important obstacles or difficulties that you are going to meet in this kind of dissemination of the results?
In the education and training of the personnel of a facility, or for the users, for the both.
So
yes.
Usually, as I'm an Italian, and I can foresee that the most important obstacles are usually a political aspect. In this case, which are the difficulties that practically you can imagine to meet in the future for the application of these laws?
In Greece, we already have two courses for education and training for laboratory animal science. And these courses are accredited by FELASA. In the future, we want to represent to our country a ministerial decision about the education and the training for all the personnel and the users, animals for scientific purposes, because here in this HERMES course, I see that you are pointed only to laboratory animals, but as you already know, there are also some other species that they used in the practice, in the facilities, in the organizations, in the establishment of using animals for scientific purposes. And I think that the education must expand for all the species, for pigs, for rabbits, for guinea pigs, and also for all the species. In Greece, we expect for this ministerial decision to put the requirements for this education and training for the courses that will be organized in the future from bodies and these facilities using animals for scientific purposes. Do you want something else to say?
No, it was very clear. Thank you very much.
I think it's very encouraging this course that we organize, and I think in the future there must be more e-learning courses for transparency, for the 3 R's, for the need to put the 3 R's in the practice, in the daily practice in this all this establishment that they exist. Thank you very much for the inviting me.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much for being with us, because having the feedback from national competent authorities is very important. For basic level training, e-learning works well. Of course, hands-on training is of paramount importance, and a blended approach should be considered to complete all the necessary competencies that the different functions should express.
Yes.
Now I would like to invite Viktoria Illegaard from the Swedish University of Agricultural Science, and also the Swedish Center for Animal Welfare. She is representing as the director since 2018, to provide us with her perspective, since the SCAB is deeply engaged in the welfare of animals used for scientific and educational purposes. Viveka?
Yes, thank you for having me on the panel. Introduction of the HERMES project, and as I have been working with implementing the directive from the beginning in 2011, 12, and so on at the Agricultural Board, I see there's a great need for courses, e-learning, a variety of different kind of perspectives, both in the EU and of course in the world, for laboratory animal science education. And as we know, we need to have continuous education. And as we heard today, we need to, the road to competence is of course never ending, I suppose. We need to add new courses all the time, update courses, and get new competence. And also, of course, in laboratory animal science, things will change all the time. So nowadays we know that the zebrafish is one of the most used laboratory animal in laboratory animal science. So it's not only the mice and rats. And the other thing I want to point out is, of course, the quality, and how do we check the quality. And I think that is not new to me, but I think that's one of the new things we have to think about when we give courses, especially e-learning courses. And that was very professional done here from the Teramo team, I think. So thank you very much for presenting it in such a good way.
Thank you very much, Viktoria. Thank you.
Viveka,
yes,
as you know, we are, let me say, partners
yes.
in many projects together, but also
yes.
in a more relevant stable framework such as the OIE Collaborative Center Consortium for Animal Welfare. Do you think that in the framework of our mandate as OIE Collaborating Center for Animal Welfare, we can in some way give value to the results of our project for further improvements and disseminating the best practices worldwide?
Yes, I think so, because a lot of the techniques and things used here in the HERMES project, and also that we connect to each other in different countries, because it has been fantastic for us in the north to work with all the people in the south of Europe, and we work in slightly different ways, but we contribute to each other, I think. And so this is something we can take on in the OIE project, either as e-learning or as other courses. I think that would be fantastic for the future.
Thank you very much indeed. We can promise to continue working together.
We will continue working together, of course.
And the last, but of course not least, I'd like to engage in the panel discussion our scientific coordinator, Dr. Lorenzini, in his role of director of the Animal Welfare Department at the Istituto Superiore di Sanità.
you any question, Nicola?
Yes. Ciao, ciao, buongiorno. I have a very big question, a very important one, because you know, HERMES project is focused mainly, in bracket mainly, on laboratory animal science. What do you see in the future for large animal using for scientific purposes? In your opinion, it's possible to translate to large animals the experience you made in HERMES project?
Oh, it's a quite difficult question, because the large animal, like all the other animal model, you know, needs to be tested and validated, no? And so now we have an experimental activity, especially. I think that you mean zootechnic animals, no?
Sure.
When you,
No, zootechnic, but for the health purposes too, vaccines and so on.
Yes, I think that we need to start the next course of activity to arrive at validation of the model, because one of the problems of continuing use animals is that the model are considered perfect today, a perfect language to dialogue between scientists.
Yeah.
And the validation of the model is the aspect main important in this field. And so surely could be a perspective, but obviously I have no data about the activity of transfer, a part of scientific research. I think that you mean this from lab animals to the large animals. We know that we have an activity, for example, on the mini pig, on pigs, for the learning techniques for surgery, because for example, the cardiovascular system of the pigs is quite similar to the man.
Yeah.
But I have no other data, if not for particular situation. I don't think that that will be possible in the future transfer a lot of the activity that now we are performing on small animals. And I think that the ethics problem, which is at the base of all the proposals of the European Union in the field of protecting and give a sort of legal status to the animal, and encounter it in the future almost more difficulties. This is my opinion.
Thanks a lot, Rodolfo. You are as clear as usual. Thank you very much. I hope to see you soon.
Thank you. I hope so. Bye.
I would like to thank you for Dr. Lorenzini for the supervision and the coordination, especially of the implementation of the cornerstone of this project, that is Intellectual Output 1, inspiring all the other outcomes of the project. Now it's time to give the floor to Barbara Alessandrini. I have the pleasure to introduce her today as a head of the OAI Capacity Building Department. She received such a very relevant role in September of this year. But she has been one of the pillars of our institute since 1991. Maybe Nicola, you know her since the very beginning. Yeah. She has been the head of the training unit, and I can say that we started the HERMES journey together, and together we will close the circle today. Barbara, the floor is yours to give some comments, your new perspective from the OIE side, but also as former member of this group.
Thank you very much, Silvia. Good afternoon, everybody. And it's a really great pleasure to be here with you today and to see the conclusion of this project that somehow has changed our lives, I have to say. And before saying something from the OI perspective, and by the way, it's the very first time that I represent in an official public meeting the OI capacity building. So I'm so happy that the first time happens right on this project in an international context, but with a basis in my country and in the place where I grew up. Before saying something, as I said, as OI capacity building, I need to say something quite personal, because this project is a personal project, and the team I've worked with until last August is really very personal. And I want to start very quickly from the very beginning of this journey, as some of you have mentioned this experience before. I want to remember when, thanks to an intuition of Dr. Nicola Ferri, who is a friend, again, we met, Silvia and I met for the first time Professor Mariani Costantini. Some of you may remember him. He is president of the Ethical Committee of Abruzzo region. He's a wise man with a great expertise in laboratory animal science and with very strong values. And he believed in what we were proposing to him. And he said, I do not really know what these two ladies want to do, but I trust them. And so that was our beginning some years ago. The beginning was not easy at all. We came from a robust experience in training, but we had to build our reputation in LAS environment. And you may know that it's not really easy to do it. It has been a huge, incredible, long, but beautiful work. We need to bring institutional representatives to believe in our ideas, to discuss our ideas, and we needed to transform them into concepts and then into facts and figures. And you have seen today that facts and figures finally came. And the quality and quantity of the people who are sitting at this virtual table today show that it was not really a bad idea to work in this field. And please allow me also to recognize that this idea really came from the mind and the cleverness of Silvia, of Dr. Silvia Silva, whom I would like to thank you, not only for the originality of the proposal, but also for the willingness. You see, good ideas advance, and no matter how much time they take, but they have legs and they start walking. And as some people today said, in particular Gemma, but also Marcello, Massimiliano, Viveka, and also Eva, and also Gaspar, this is just the beginning. It's a kickoff, I guess. And I really hope, and I want to recommend that this idea doesn't stop walking today. And now, as OIE capacity building, my recommendation, my main recommendation is don't waste this model. Build new teams, enlarge new teams and new ideas, bring in new ideas, but find a way to implement, really implement this model and to scale it up, because it is scalable. Not only in the world of laboratory animal science, as some of you have already suggested, because there is a need, as Gemma said, to also go over beyond the borders of the European Union, where the need to build competencies is really strong. But also think about enlarging the model to other educational settings. You know, in LAS world, competencies are a passport. You cannot move, you cannot go anywhere if you don't have competencies. And we have seen, and I have seen personally, until when I have worked in our animal welfare body in Teramo, how difficult it is to build and to certify competencies. But the organizations that release this passport, in my mind, should be or could be really empowered by the achievement of HERMES certification. This because self-assessment is reliable if done under robust and solid criteria, that is to say, quality standard. And I can say this from the OIE, from an organization whose mission is to support its members to strengthen the capacity of the veterinary services to improve animal health and welfare and the governance of veterinary public health. The OIE, as most of you know, works to empower veterinary services through a flagship program named PVS Pathway, which I lead. PVS means Performances of Veterinary Services. And you know, this pathway may be started through a self-assessment of veterinary services' critical competencies. And it is supported by a training platform which builds a training offer based on these critical competencies, trying to satisfy the need to fill these competencies gaps. So allow me to say with a concrete, I really believe it, HERMES is a scalable model. So engage and commit yourselves to disseminate it and maintain the promise that you have done to the Erasmus program to maximize the impact of this model in Europe. And let me add once again, not only Europe. Today, in this partnership, and also in the people who are sitting at this table, I can see OIE collaborating centers, as you have already mentioned, specifically for training and education and for animal welfare. And also be aware that there are OIE collaborating centers on laboratory animals as well. They work together in networks, and in networks of networks, they are committed to share their expertise to support member countries. And they have already found, as Viveka and Silvia have just underlined, the way to multiplicate their value. And last but not least, European acknowledgement as the recognition of EU reference center for animal welfare, in which not only Sweden and Italy, but also Greece present at this table are involved, is important to be members of network and to multiplicate the message and the effort. And I cannot forget to mention the role of VetC, which includes the establishment of veterinary education, the veterinary specialization, the European veterinarians and practitioners, and the role of universities like Murcia, the role of competent authority like the Greek one, and the level and capacity of penetration of message that the Istituto Superiore di Sanità in Italy can lead. So you have so ample and wide basis. And my invitation, concluding this short speech, is just to share this model, to defend it, trying to activate, enable positive environment and networks in which to share and build not only more ideas, but concrete facts and figures, because HERMES is now a concrete tool. It exists. And as I have read in the chat, the tools will be published on the website and they will be available, I guess, free of charge, of course. So go and try to help building competencies where the need arises. Keep this engagement, keep this promise, not only to guarantee researchers' mobility in Europe, but again, once again, also over the EU borders. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barbara. I think, Nicola, we couldn't imagine a better conclusion than this. I think that it's good for you and all the audience learn that very recently, last week. It's very true what you are stressing, the scalability of the model. Last week, I had the pleasure and the honor to participate in the meeting of the European Platform for Animal Welfare, and this model can be reused, of course, with the readaptation in content to a job that you very well know. It's a complex process that is driving the Balkan countries towards the dog population control. And the benchmarking principle driving and addressing our self-assessment tool can be applied in a similar platform to the dog management control. So this is an example of the level of abstraction that the model can have. So, Nicola, I think we can...
Yes. Thanks, Barbara, for your very nice words. And I have just a question for you. Are you coming back home or not? It's Christmas.
I'll tell you that this morning, very early, I made a long queue in a laboratory to make the PCR COVID test.
Mm-hmm.
So if the test is negative, I guess that I can catch a flight to come back to Italy, to Rome, at least next Friday. But to be sincere, I don't know if the colors of Italy will allow me to go from Rome to Teramo. So I need probably to cross orange or red mountains, who knows, and maybe be at home on Friday evening for sure.
Thank you very much once again, Barbara. A very big hug to you and to all the colleagues from the consortium of this project. My personal thanks is to all the people who trusted us, and in this trust, I recognize also all the participants remaining with us until the end of this event. So thank you once again. And in case of need for further details, information, and possible cooperation, do not hesitate to contact us. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas. Thank you, Silvia.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Bye.
Happy holidays.